Game 1 of 82 is in the books. Crazy how it's all happened so fast. It's upon us, and it wasn't enjoyable like we would have liked.
That's an understatement.
The crisp excitement in the end that it had in the beginning. And but we're here to talk about it. Welcome to the Sixers Talk podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University. Wilmu Works, Danny Pommells and Amy Fadool here. Noah Levick is preparing to head to Sixers practice, just like Amy Fadool is. She'll be heading there as well
shortly.
But they will have a meeting of the minds there and discuss exactly what happened to these Sixers, because we had a great Q&A ahead of pregame. We had a great pregame.
There was some good
the first quarter. They were up one after the first quarter, Amy.
You thought, they could hang, they could do this. And then, no. Even like at halftime, I thought, maybe. And then like probably 3 minutes in the third, I was like, nah, fam, it ain't happening tonight. This ain't it. This ain't it.
And, Tyrese Maxey, do what he may. It just was not enough. 10 for 31. I think he finished 4 from the floor. He didn't quite have all of his, as Nick Nurse put it, in between game together, as far as he was getting to the cup. He was shooting his deep threes, but the in between game was where Nick Nurse thought he could eat a little bit more, because he just was not getting the calls going to the rim, which really probably didn't factor into the outcome as much as we would have liked. No. But the respect factor that we thought Tyrese Maxey would have gained after being most improved player, making an all-star team and whatnot from last season, where he was also not getting calls that he probably should have, it did not carry over into the opener at all.
Yeah, it's interesting because Nick Nurse, he's not usually one to complain about that. And I talked to Jim Lynam both on set and off last night. I was like, what do you do with that? And he goes, Nurse said it, like, you talk to them during the game. He goes, that tends to not really help you. He said, but what I would do and what they'll probably do is they clip off all the things they thought were questionable, and they send them to the league and say, listen, like, this is how this guy plays. The thing with Maxey is that's his style. And I think sometimes he doesn't get the calls because his style looks out of control when it's really not. So the contact may be deemed on its face incidental because of the method that he's getting to the cup. It doesn't mean that it's not contact. Incidental or not. So it's interesting and how they're going to continue to have to call him. The league has to adjust. They have had to adjust to the way they call Joel Embiid. I think they're going to have to way they adjust to guys like Tyrese Maxey. De'Aaron Fox is another example as far as plays that style. But the reason, like, the mid-range game is an interesting one to bring up, because Nurse's point is valid. Like, when you have Brook Lopez down there, basically just lock, stock, and barrel hanging out there in the paint, knowing that there is no other offensive option, really meaningful option for the Sixers as far as a guy that's going to drop and be able to give you 25, 30 points. Of course he's going to stay in there because that's Maxey's forte, is driving, slashing to the lane. So I thought it was he wasn't trying to say like, it was just when that's happening, you don't have your floor spacer out there. You don't have another guy to take away Brook Lopez. Andre Drummond's not an offensive juggernaut. He's not drawing away the defense. No one else really is. So Lopez was able to really affect all of those shots that Tyrese Maxey had. So that's why he was 10 for 31. But it's pretty woeful to come away with 4 free throw attempts when you take 31 shots in the style of which the Tyrese Maxey plays, knowing that he was contacted on more than one occasion. There was at least 3 or 4. I remember in that second half, I thought, this is not going to change the outcome, but it's about setting the precedent. But to your other point about what Nick Nurse said, when you know going to the rack is not helping, as far as like you're not getting the calls and you're not getting the buckets to go, you do need to work more on your 10 to 12 to 15 footers. That's where you're going to be able to do a little damage. And that's obviously something Tyrese Maxey has talked about over the years as far as increasing that part of his game. But I think in the moment, they're just trying to get points on the board. They see that they're down 16. They see that they're down 14. They're trying to get something going. They would cut it to 10 or even 9, and then of course, Damian Lillard would go down and drain a 3, and that would be that.
I think, and the word Nick Nurse used was adjustments. So just Tyrese Maxey adjusting to the, on the fly to, hey, the coaches aren't giving me, the referees aren't giving me the calls going to the rim. So, you know what, I'm going to live in this little mid-range area and kind of get mine here. And not necessarily settling or backing off of being aggressive, but just the fact that I can do both. I can score on all 3 levels. So why not eat here in the mid-range where and continue to be aggressive going to the basket. But it was adjustments that could have the team. And, like I said, it probably didn't really factor into the outcome of the game. The fact that he was 10 for 31, let's say he was 14 or 31, they still lost 124-109. So the point's not necessarily, more the principle of the fact that he should be getting those calls. And listen, he's a prisoner of his own greatness in a sense. Is I think the point you're trying to make is the fact that he can go off hand, off foot, and he can, curl around the basket when he gets contact to make these great layups. But he's fallen to the ground for a reason. Mm-hmm. He's fallen down is he's getting bumped, he's getting redirected, and his path to the hoop is getting changed and by contact. So, that's definitely frustrating for Sixers fans to watch. I'm sure they were excited, though, of the contribution Kelly Oubre brought, 21 points for him. And particularly the extra scoring's got to come from somewhere. The aggression was trying to come from somewhere. I remember from looking at the box score, I think he was 8 of 18. Tough 3-point shooting night. I think the team overall had 3-point shooting night. And we talked in the Q&A about how well the Celtics shot the basketball in their season opener. And listen, if you had Paul George and Joel Embiid out there, this would have been a much different outcome. You just had to kind of bite the bullet in this situation and just deal with the fact that, listen, these guys aren't going to be here these first 3 games, and glass half full, maybe this is a way for them to figure out other ways to lean when they're not available. Hopefully these type of situations don't happen often, but at the same time, it is what it is. And one of them is probably not going to be playing on a back-to-back. So when Paul George isn't playing, Joel will be out there and vice versa. And hopefully the supporting cast can, be up to the task. But we got to mention the NBA, Amy, has decided to step in. I personally felt like it was too much jibber jabber going on. How can you just come out and say, I'm not playing in back-to-backs. We don't think he'll ever play again in back-to-backs, and not expect, and then you don't even have him out there for the opener. Just the cavalcade of stuff, like all that combined together probably is what raised the NBA's eyebrows. Not just the fact that he set out the opener, but go ahead.
Well, it's almost automatic when you have, and the league changed it a couple of years ago, and it's in the CBA because they do not like the load management. They do not like resting the star players in national games. So anytime a star player is out for a national game, it almost always triggers some kind of extra look. Now, there isn't an official investigation, or what we want to call it, but they want to find out what happened. They want to find out, when did you guys know? The NBA is a business, and their business is about seeing the stars on the court. It is opening night. It's a marquee matchup. You've got the Bucks. You've got the Sixers, 2 teams vying for the Eastern Conference Championship. And you find out the day before that and Paul George is not what's going to trigger it. We all realize that. Like, they saw Paul George get injured in the preseason. That was well known. It was the fact that I think that the Sixers probably tried to mitigate it by coming out the day before and saying, listen, this is what we're doing. But the league's going to be like, at what point did you know that? They don't like that. It is not something. So anytime there is a star player that is not playing in a nationally televised game, that's always going to have a second look given by the league. So when we saw that, I'm like, of course it is. And that's what triggers it. I think the Sixers probably did try to get out ahead of it, because usually if it was probably a regular season game, it would have been a game time decision. It would have been something day of. They would have said, listen, Joel Embiid, we're having left knee injury maintenance. He's not going to play today. And we would have found out, whatever, when they're required to release the starters or the injury report. That's why the NFL has injury reports throughout the week. They have to say on Friday whether the guy is in or out. Friday. When they play, Sunday. So that is why. So the NBA has been pushing for this for a while. It was a big thing a couple years ago when they redid their CBA. The Players Association was not about it. They were like, listen, players get hurt. This happens in and out or whatever. But the league is like, listen, we have these marquee games that we need to protect. The rights holders are paying buku bucks for them. And if you're telling us that you're going to decide the day of that LeBron James isn't playing, or Tim Duncan at the time, way back in the day, isn't playing, that's not going to sit right with us. So it was not a surprise when they said that there's going to be possibly an investigation. We'll see at practice. I mean, Daryl Morey spoke about it. He gets it. The guy's been around the league a long time. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. As a fan, it's disappointing because, you bought those opening day tickets thinking that you would see at least one or two of Paul George, Joel Embiid combo. And then to find out, look, listen, the Paul George one, you get it. The Joel Embiid one, if this was what they were going to do, maybe a little heads up would have been nice, not 24 hours, but it'll be interesting to see how they handle it because this will be going forward. The Sixers have a number of, I think it's not 11 nationally televised games, 10.
I don't know the number. I'm sorry. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I have it written down. I'm pretty sure we're doing 71 pre and posts. 72, and we do one for national, which is the opener. So I think they had 10 more. So it'll be something to watch.
Everybody else was there. Giannis was Giannising. Dame was Dame timing. Doc Rivers was getting booed. Everybody was there.
Tried to go in with like a little goatee. Just notice that?
Yeah.
Look for him, I didn't think.
His actual hairline is like a goatee. Like if you were looking from the top, if you drew a mouth right here, it would just be.
The fact that he keeps it going, I appreciate. See, that's one thing you've admitted. Like your hair was quitting on you, so you fired it.
There you go. You got it right.
I like it. But the thing is, not everybody can be like LeBron and force your hair to come back. LeBron regrew his hair. That was makes him the greatest of all time.
It does, and he plays basketball with his son in the NBA.
Listen, people are going to hate on that. One of them is our producer, Brian Brennan. If you can't appreciate that moment, I don't have much for you. I
do
feel bad for Bronny at some point.
I know. He's just, he can't even just play.
At this point.
He just can't play basketball. It's just, you just want to play basketball. I mean, people, we're on a tangent, but people, the dude was a high school All-American. Like, did people forget that? Like, he's not, okay.
Yeah, he's a good basketball player. But it was like if Jordan's kid had had anything on the level of Bronny, people would have been like, well, you should play with him. But people just hate on LeBron. So.
And I think because the G League is available and we see, oh, hi.
I just found it. Sorry.
I'm about to say, you have a new pet. It's Halloween, so.
Yeah, let's find stuff here. Yeah, the G League was available back then. Maybe Jordan's kid would have been given an opportunity. But I feel like that Bronny was, he was a good player. I think he's a decent player. Mark Jackson contends he is, borderline NBA type of player, probably a G League player, which is something. So I do think that Bryce may be a little bit more talented overall. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to watch that going forward, just in the clips that I've seen. But I do kind of feel bad for him after a while because it's just like, let's trot him out here. But it is, that's something that LeBron will listen. To me, he's earned that. Like if you drafted Bronny James because that meant you got to keep LeBron, I would have drafted him. Also, the box score, he's B James.
B James.
Bronny, I thought that was.
I think that the cardiac thing probably, also made them feel like, listen, like if we can make this happen, then let's do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like life is short. Yeah, right. So
make your star player happy. He's not going to play anymore.
They kicked the Wolves behind on opening night too.
They sure did. They sure did.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis reminds you when he's healthy, woo, buddy. Like he is a force. When he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the league.
There's a reason he was on the Olympic team. Yeah, top 75 all time.
He's like, oh yes, you don't think he's top 7?
Lillard was on there too. It's fine. It's just who. If he's not on there, who would I put on type of thing? And that Dwight Howard, I felt like had a good argument, but we are really getting we're touching all the corners, Amy. We are here and there and everywhere.
We talked about that Ringer article the last time, and AD is like way up there because it's like when healthy, he's a top 10 player in the league.
No,
but that is a giant asterisk by his name.
And I can't front. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching him play. Like, he is cold. He is so nasty. So I can't front on that. But
it's when he's off and when he's
what
injured.
did they the NBA on TNT guys call them street clothes?
That's what, yeah. I hope that show stays around in because that is the
street clothes.
Street clothes, because that's and especially for that crew, like they're not gonna let anything like that slide. I can't. I mean, I can't wait to hear them on Joel Embiid because
I was going to say it was our big man. It was our big man in street clothes this time, Amy. It was our big man.
When the camera like panned over to him and he saw him and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he puts his hood up and I'm like,
right. He buries his face into.
Like, no, Joe, no, say it ain't so.
Our tangent stopped us from appreciating Kelly Oubre because we deserve to give him a little bit of praise.
Ben Barry does not appreciate Kelly Oubre, but I do.
You know what? Let's take a quick time out. We're getting short on time here because you have to get to the facility and we have to be attentive to our sponsors. We, of course, brought to you by Wilmington University. Be sure to find your higher education home at Wilmington University, where your academic success is celebrated by a caring community. Explore your opportunities at wilmu.edu. Celebrity cook Steve Moderano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Moderano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs, Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations for Moderano's Prime on Open Table. Back here on the Sixers Talk podcast, I would be remiss if I didn't send some love and a shout out to everyone who showed up at the Q&A yesterday. The vibes were great.
Good crowd.
Yeah, good crowd. We're apparently going to be doing more of those based on what I was talking with Ashley Hall, director of what's her official title? Do you know? Marketing. I was going to say marketing.
There's another
right. But she is
director of marketing. We'll go with that.
Jane of all trades. She has that multi-hat situation going on.
Yeah, she was out there like getting the questions out.
She was getting the questions out. Yes, she
orders like all of our swag.
She had leather pants on. It was all happening. It was all.
Kate
you
had
a leather fit. Yes,
he
did. Yes. Kate was hyped too, and I really appreciated that. Because
that's the thing. She is who she is.
After you guys left, she did like a Shaq, oh, can you dig it type, like not necessarily can you dig it, but it was like everybody here, y'all ready to be y'all. So it was good. It was good.
She's ready, and it was nice because she could come out and obviously kind of relax without having to go and rush back and prep for the game or whatever. But she'll be there.
And she had to change because she had her jeans and her sneakers on.
Yeah, she got her Pumas. She had her Tyrese Maxey slam bag T-shirt. She had her leather jacket on. She was catchy.
She brought great energy. It was fun. I wish it could have carried over to the game.
I do feel bad for the fans, but like you mentioned, there are bright spots. I think the one thing that we could learn from that game is that there are options. And before we came on, I was talking with our producer Ben Barry, and I definitely questioned, and I do think Nick Nurse is a good coach. I don't question him overall. But some of the rotations, I thought, is he doing this just to show like this is what you've given me?
Well, KJ Martin started the game, so that was unexpected.
That was, and I heard Nurse's reasoning, and I was like, all right. He said, listen, Caleb Martin is one of the top 5 guys on our team. He is a starter, but we need somebody in that second unit. So I'm going to have him do that. And I was like, all right, well, if this is the game to do it, let's try that out.
Mark Jackson really wanted Oubre to be in that second unit. I didn't know. It more? I don't know if it was necessarily. I think for the season he wants that. I don't know if it was necessarily last night, but that was something that he and I were talking about. But
yeah, I think that Oubre's earned starters minutes. Some people might like him in that second unit because he provides such an energetic spark, and he can be. Hopefully, what he's trying to work on is be that microwave type of scorer. That's easier done in the second unit, right? You come in, you don't know how long you're gonna be in there, so you get in, you get your points, and then get out. Caleb Martin did that. Like in 14 minutes, it was like, all right, 14 minutes, it was like 6 points, a couple of rebounds, an assist and a steal, I think. So it was like, there you go. That's what you want from him. But it's just about sustaining that. When you're the starter, it's a different mindset. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about the starting, what will it look like? Eric Gordon was a surprise to me. As long as he was in the game, I would wonder. And at one point, like Sean came over to my desk, I was like, is Jared McCain still hurt? I was like, they said he's good to go. And then you saw him late in the game, and I thought, well, here's an energy guy. Here's a guy who's absolutely rip-roaring to go at every step of the way. You do kind of like wonder if he can rein it in, and maybe that's why he didn't get him out there. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen Jared McCain a little bit earlier in a game like that.
Yeah, it's weird. I think Kyle Lowry ended up playing 24 minutes, which based on the in-game notes that they put out, that was his most points. I think 13 was his most points off the bench in like some ridiculous amount of time. I have it here.
He's not a bench guy, so.
He's not, but I mean, at the same time, I felt like Mark was trying to tell me that he felt like Lowry would start a lot of games next to Tyrese Maxey just because they would have Oubre coming off the bench. So that was his point, that he felt like they would need scoring off the bench and Lowry would start a lot of games. But he was also very skeptical of the minutes that would be available for Jared McCain. Because they do have these veterans. And, if you're Nick Nurse, you got Reggie Jackson sitting there or Jared McCain, who's like, champing at the bit, trying to get out there. I don't know. I mean, he definitely deserves to be out there. I'm sure they'll find time and minutes for him, but the opener might not have been the time, particularly against a team like the Bucks, who, had the lead. They were trying to mount the comeback. You're trying to figure out some type of formula to make it work. One of the guys that was out there that was making a difference was Guerschon Yabusele. Man, he's going to earn a multi-year contract. And if it ain't the Sixers, it's going to be somebody else. It might be silly if the Sixers don't sign him to a multi-year deal. The versatility, the confidence, that time playing Euro ball has really molded his game in a really cool way. And he has something for these end of period, end of halftime moments where he's like, we had that dunk in the preseason, steal and the layup last night. But a very versatile guy. And just, when you see him out there next to guys like Giannis and you see Caleb Martin out there and, Caleb Martin can defend, but he's just undersized in that way. And while Yabusele isn't 6'11" like Giannis, his girth,
he's a big boy,
gives him
solid.
Some leverage, right? Some leverage against guys like Giannis and those bigger wings, Evan Mobley or those type of tall, slender fours. I thought some good things from him. Anybody else stand out to you that you felt like brought something last night?
I'm glad you brought up Yabusele just because I think you saw glimpses of how they might roll like a small ball five type of thing. Not necessarily him playing the five, but in that type of role, whether it's the 4 or the 5, I thought he just is going to bring a lot. He's a good finisher. I thought better finisher at the rim. You saw like a couple of those times where he would make a good move. He's very athletic. And it's a big difference, apparently, from when he was here before with Boston and then came back. We saw it in glimpses and overseas in the Olympics. But I thought he was a real nice contributor. But overall, there wasn't anybody that I was like, oh, wow, they really looked good. Damian Lillard looked better than I thought he was going to. But I don't want to talk about Damian Lillard because I think that Lillard is that's still a big question mark for me if that's actually going to work there in Milwaukee. And not because he can't score. We all know that's but defensively, when push comes to shove, like Giannis being a playmaker was something that was also a little bit different. The guy had 7 assists last night. You just don't expect that from Giannis. I thought he did.
He gave the fans chicken. Gave everybody chicken, free chicken.
It's like there's 2 locks. It's Ben Simmons is going to get you some chicken, and that the last time I think that Giannis played here, I think he gave us an 8-piece. I think he missed 4 in a row.
You know what I just remembered?
That Ben Simmons plays basketball?
No, remember, I think there was a game. Remember Giannis gave us chicken and tried to shoot the free throws after the game, but they had to do
the ladder, and then they pushed So he missed a bunch.
Right.
He missed a bunch last night. I think he was like 6 for 17 or whatever it was. Whatever he was, 9 for 17.
Ben will get the numbers in there. Yeah, Ben will get the numbers in there. He missed a ton of free throws.
Whatever he was, he like quadrupled whatever Tyrese Maxey was when he went to the line. But Giannis is going to get the calls. But so he missed a bunch of free throws. And at the end of the games, remember, they go and they bring the ladders out because they secure the net and they bring everything. And I think
it was a Flyers game. I think they had to do like the quick change.
He literally like told the guy, and the guy's like, listen, I'm just trying to do this. And he's like, well, I'm trying to shoot. And he shoved the ladder out of the way. And I'm like, I've never seen him so here. I had just watched like that Disney movie Rise,
right,
on like how sweet Giannis is, and I thought he was just like sweet, like, oh, America's so great and everything's so great, and I love like chicken wings, and now it's like, get out of my face with your ladder. It was a real villain turn.
And just the comment, like these are like union guys, like some union guys, like
all right,
to argue with this.
Like someone was like, I remember when it got posted, because I think it was one of the reporters actually got it. And they were showing him, and they happen to be recording still when Giannis pushes the ladder out of the way. And I think some of the comments like, well, couldn't he have gone to the other ladder? I'm like, have you met anybody? Like, if you're telling me my job is to do that, you want me to go do the other one first? No, man, I'm here. I'm from Philly. This is my job. This is what I'm doing today.
The dude had to get on the ladder just to look eye to eye to Giannis. Like,
it was so great. Push that. I'm gonna have to bring that clip up when we stop.
That was pretty funny.
Is a good one. I do want to tell you, speaking of, because I know we mentioned his name, I did. Ben Simmons recorded a triple single last night.
How many?
And did you see Nick Claxton?
No, I didn't. What happened?
Daniels kid, who I think it came over a couple years ago from Australia, been in the G League or whatever. He is on a breakout, like a just fast break, and Claxton absolutely is going to get suspended. When I say he clotheslined him, I mean you could hear the smack of him taking him out, like at the neck. It is aggressive.
He's not that kind of player, though.
Oh, he's that guy. And then so Dyson gets up, Daniels gets up, and it flagrant 2 ejected.
Right.
He gets up right afterwards, and he's just like looking for him. And then Claxton is just like, "What?" I'm like, "What? What do you mean, what? You
me?
Try to take the I didn't do that. I went for the ball. Was it at his neck? The ball was here, and you went. You got to watch it and turn the volume up. When I say you can hear the skin of him hitting him in the neck, it is a dangerous play.
Ben Barry said he just watched the Nick Claxton play.
It's crazy.
It doesn't look that bad, he said. Amy, he's undermining you. He's undermining you, Amy.
Stop it.
I told you, you gotta smack him in the back of the neck and keep him in line whenever you get a chance. Yeah.
Doesn't look that bad. He clotheslined him. He could have taken his neck off.
You got to keep Ben Barry in line. He can get out.
Well, okay, I'll clothesline Ben and see if it's not that bad.
No blood, no foul. Hilarious.
That's right. Honestly, also like Ben's not going to be on a run out. So who am I kidding? I won't have to shot very
over
far
the line. Over the line.
He came in the chat. He left the chat to join us. The man, he's like the Wizard of Oz right now.
Right.
Yeah, I'll just trot alongside and take him out. All right, I'm sorry.
Amy,
I got to today. I gotta go.
You guys will be back Sixers pre and post game Friday. The mouth moves. Is that a piggy bank?
It's like no.
Oh, it's a squishy toy.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. It just appeared. This is what happens when you have children. Just things like this appear.
I remember those days very vividly.
Yes, we're back 6:30.
Some redemption, right? Against the Hawks, they'll be able to get back together, and there's a win. There's a win there. There's a win there waiting for them.
They're going to Toronto, weirdo.
Oh, why did I say the Hawks? Toronto and the Pacers. It's a 2-game road trip. Yeah. Toronto, Indiana. Wednesday, they're back with Detroit. I'm sorry, but Toronto isn't very good. They should be able to beat Toronto, is what I'm trying to say.
They got hurt early in that one. Toronto lost by 30 last night to the Cavs. 30. So they should beat that team. They should beat the Pacers are good.
It's the Paul George thing. I'm thinking about Paul George.
Paul George might be back. And then Monday.
He got hurt against the Hawks.
Next week.
Tobias.
I mean, we were talking about what kind of montage.
They got a technical. Detroit got a technical last night for 6 men on the floor. They had 6 men on the floor at the same time.
They still lost.
Yeah. They had 6 guys.
Yeah. So we were joking, like, what did you put on the Tobias Harris tribute video? And I was like, you just put the last game. That's just it. That's all you put. And someone was like, no, you put this, and this. Like, I was like, they're not going to do a tribute video.
They are. They definitely are.
No, you cannot.
They did one for TJ.
Positive things to think about TJ.
He almost had a 50, 40, 90 season here. All right. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying there will be a tribute video. Are we?
They should just throw up a tribute slate. Thanks, Tobias. Call it a day.
Cheesesteak?
Yes.
Cheesesteak? All right. Cheesesteak. Tobias Harris will get a tribute video. You say he won't.
Tribute
We're
slate.
betting the cheesesteak.
Oh, and also update everybody. You found the Wilt Chamberlain statue. It is no longer on the link.
Yes.
It's not on the link side.
Yeah, they moved corners.
So it's on the opposite side. And
they gave us some lights. And gave us some lights.
A little snazzier.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture. I'll take a picture on Friday and we'll post it.
All right, Amy, safe travels to the Sixers practice facility. We will see you next time on the Sixers Talk podcast. I think Monday probably sounds about right. Monday or Tuesday, we will record another pod. We will see you then. And we appreciate everyone out there for listening and watching. For Amy Fadool and Ben Berry, I'm Danny Pommells. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.